What's up, guys? Welcome back to Natalie Reptile Room. Today, this is your host, Natalie, co-host Heaven.
And we're about to bring our special guest out. Not yet.
Yeah, because we don't want to ruin it.
But before we do begin, I just wanted to thank our subscribers and our fans for waiting out for us. We had a great vacation. It was fun. And then, what was your favorite part about vacation?
And we went to a mermaid museum, and they gave me like a magical fish. It moves in your hand.
It's like a fortune teller.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah, you should go there too, guys.
Yeah. So, a couple weeks ago, in our Crested Gecko video care video, Natalie and I mentioned that that was our second cutest reptile that we have, right? Today, we're introducing you guys
to the cutest reptile that we have in our collection.
Yes, number one. You ready to show him?
Yep, let's
do it. This, guys, is Penny, our number one cutest reptile. And Penny is what?
Our gecko.
What
Fat-tailed gecko.
African Fat-Tailed
Yep,
Gecko.
African Fat-Tailed Gecko.
And how cute is she?
She is so adorable.
They are the cutest.
Look at her little face.
As always, guys, today we are going to go over some interesting and cool facts about African Fat-Tailed Geckos, their enclosure, and their diet.
Yep.
As always.
Yep.
So let's get into it. So African Fat-Tailed Geckos are very similar to leopard geckos. And you guys will notice that there's a lot of similarities between this care video and our leopard gecko care video.
Yeah.
But there's also some very important key differences that we'll go over also. I mean, she even kind of looks like our leopard gecko, doesn't she? A little bit?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to show everybody like a side-by-side of our leopard gecko and African Fat-Tailed Gecko.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
They can be found in the savannas, deserts, and grasslands of Africa, where they get their name, African Fat-Tailed Gecko.
Yeah.
So now you know where they get the name. This adorable little gecko will only get about 7 to 9 inches, so that's kind of small.
Yeah.
And males actually get larger than females. And they have a lifespan of up to 15 to 20 years. Another long-living reptile. They are a terrestrial lizard, which means they are not what?
Sticky geckos.
Sticky geckos.
Yeah. And that's why we got them. That's why we got her enclosure, not glass.
That's a good point, and we'll go over that in Enclosure. There is a lot of conflicting information that Natalie and I have found of whether they are crepuscular or nocturnal. But more than most sources say that they're nocturnal, is what we found.
Yeah.
Do you know the difference?
No.
Nocturnal means that they are active at night when we're sleeping. Crepuscular means that they're active right before the sun comes up and right before the sun goes down. We see her more active, like, I would say right before we go to bed. That's when we see her most active. So African Fat-Tailed Geckos definitely aren't as common as leopard geckos, but they're growing as they grow in popularity.
Sure.
Maybe not as common, but you can still find them at like pet stores, reptile shows, and even online. You can find them almost anywhere.
Yeah.
We've seen them a lot at reptile shows, haven't we?
Yeah,
African Fat-Tailed?
Yeah, but not like, we didn't see like any, but guys, let me tell you something funny. But, she is really active, like, and she gives us gecko kisses.
All right, now let's get into appearance. What's some things about Penny that stand out to you about her appearance?
Like, I like that yellow and all that pretty yellow on her.
She's got very beautiful colors.
Yeah, so it's like black, yellow, black, yellow, black, yellow, and black on her tail.
She's even got like that one little white dot on the top of her head. But I absolutely agree with you. One of my favorite things is, like you said, that coloration. That black and copper And that's where she got her name, Penny, because she's copper like a penny, right?
Yeah.
Most African fat-tailed geckos have, remember seeing the ones with like the white line on the top of their head that goes all the way down their back, even to their tail? We actually got Penny discounted because she doesn't have that white line. But honestly, I think that makes her so much cooler looking, even without that line.
Yeah.
I am in love with this little gecko.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. One of my other favorite things about her is her glitter eyes.
Yeah.
We'll show them a picture of it. She's got like all these white little dots next to her eyes. It looks like she's got glitter eyes.
Yeah.
Right? So cute.
And look at eyes. Eyes are like literally hard eyes.
Our eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, not mine.
Not mine either.
Now, to the other part of their name, why do you think they call them fat-tailed geckos?
Because their tail is fat.
But you're exactly right. Just like a lot of other geckos, they have that fat tail. But theirs is exceptionally big.
Yeah. Not like huge, guys.
Right. And do you remember from our leopard gecko video why some geckos' tail is fat like that? Do you remember what they use it for?
For their food. And if we don't feed them, they can feed themselves with their tail.
Yes, you're almost exactly right. That was very smart of you. They use that tail to store fat, which they can convert into energy. So she eats plenty fine with us, but in the wild, if food is like scarce, they can survive a little extra longer because they can store that fat and energy in their tail.
Yeah, and they do not they don't bite, and they're very, very sweet and very, very cute.
We're gonna get into just how sweet she is. As far as the tail, I mean, that's pretty much having a Red Bull built into your tail.
Yeah.
Take a shot of Red Bull from your tail.
Yeah, but
Crazy. They also have very large, adorable eyes. Tell me her eyes are not adorable.
her eyes are so cute. I just want to kiss her little head because
She is cute.
yeah, and I just want to kiss her little head.
Can't kiss lizards though, right?
Yeah.
Unlike the crested geckos who did not have eyelids and they had to like pat their eyes with their tongue,
Yeah.
African fat-tailed geckos do
They're
have
not.
eyelids. Do
Yeah.
have eyelids.
Yeah, but
Crested geckos don't.
yeah, but those crested geckos, that keeps their eyes moist.
Exactly. And especially with fat-tailed geckos, that's important for because when you're used to living in like deserts and stuff like that, you get a lot of sand in your eyes.
Yeah.
So being able to blink is very beneficial. And our last point to appearance is African fat-tailed geckos come in several different morphs, which all of them are super cool looking. Certainly not as many morphs as like leopard geckos, but still some really cool morphs.
Yeah. And guys,
Do you remember what morphs are? It's like different colorations and patterns they can come in. Kind of like the ball python, blue-eye leucistic. Natalie and I also wanted to take a minute to talk about their temperament and handleability. Am I using that word right? Handleability?
yeah.
How well behaved is she?
Very behaved.
Very behaved, yes she is. African fat-tailed geckos have a great reputation of being docile.
Yeah.
Now, of course, this is not the case for every single fat-tailed gecko, but by the majority, they're very docile. And the reason we say that is leopard geckos also have an amazing reputation for being docile. Out of all of the reptiles we have, a Nile monitor, savanna monitor, some different snakes, all kinds of stuff, the only reptile that we have that has bitten Natalie is a leopard gecko.
Yep.
We love the leopard gecko to death, but she can come with a little attitude every now and then, right?
Yeah.
Despite your leopard gecko, Penny absolutely lives up to that reputation. She is such a sweet and docile little soul, isn't she?
Yeah.
The sweetest. We feel like if she was a person and she could talk, she would be the one that's like, oh, excuse me, pardon me. That if you stepped on her shoe, she would apologize for you stepping on her shoe.
Yeah.
Being less common than leopard geckos, you'll also notice that many African fat-tailed geckos on the market are still wild caught. Not too many, but this can also have a difference in temperament. But there are still plenty of reputable captive breeders out there.
Yeah.
I would just ask them up front before you get one.
Yeah.
The only two slight downsides to handling African fat-tailed geckos is one, they can drop their tail. African fat-tailed geckos can drop their tail just like crested geckos and leopard geckos. They're more like a leopard gecko where they're not just going to drop their tail for no reason.
Yeah.
You would have to pull it, pinch it, do all of that. And you know who really, well, he doesn't not like them, but you know who doesn't like reptiles that drop their tail?
What?
Clint's reptiles.
Yeah.
He always says that, don't he?
Yeah.
Now, they can also regenerate their tail, like leopard geckos, unlike crested geckos, who won't grow theirs back.
Yeah.
But it comes back as this like weird little stump. That right there is what happens when they lose their tail. It comes back in that like weird little stump kind of thing. It just doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
And the second slight downside is, as you can see from our little girl here, is as babies, they can be very small and very fragile. If you squeeze them too hard, it could hurt them. A short fall could really be detrimental to them. And as sweet as she is, the last thing I'd ever want to do is accidentally hurt her.
Yeah. What if we were a human and we accidentally stepped on a toe? She'll be like, it's okay.
Yeah, if she was a person. Despite those two slight downsides, African fat-tailed geckos make an absolutely awesome reptile to interact with. What do you think?
I think it's really introverted.
Really what?
Really introverted.
Introvertic?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means that they are really not destructive and mean.
Oh, I learned something today too. In our personal opinion, I would honestly recommend a fat-tailed gecko over a leopard gecko.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot. They make for an absolutely amazing pet for almost anyone, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Between them being able to drop their tail and how fragile they are, we would highly suggest adult supervision if you're letting a child interact with them. With any reptile, for that matter.
Yeah.
Alright, now on to... Enclosure. Alright, let's start with the enclosure itself. Being a terrestrial gecko, you are going to want to focus more on ground space rather than height, because they're not a sticky gecko climbing up and down the thing, right? They are going to need a 20-gallon tank minimum with more floor space, so wider, because you want to give them plenty of room for them to be active in, to get a proper heat gradient, and to be able to add enrichment, right?
Yeah.
And they are active, trust us.
Yeah.
You will also need a substrate that's good at holding in moisture. We'll get more into the actual humidity levels in a bit, but Natalie and I use a topsoil and play sand mix. Never use what kind of sand?
Calcium sand.
Calcium sand. This could cause impaction and actually kill your gecko if they ingest that calcium sand.
Yeah.
And you are going to need how many hides?
3.
3. You'll need one on the warm end, one on the
cold end,
cold
and
end.
one on, and then one on the hot end, and then one on the humidity.
A humidity hide.
Yep.
A humidity hide is as simple as taking like a plastic Tupperware container, cutting a hole for them to enter and exit in, we taped off the edges so she doesn't cut herself on that plastic, and then just fill it with moss and water the moss. Boom, you have a humidity hide.
Yeah, and you don't have to take the lid off and spray it. Take the lid off and spray it. Take the lid off and spray it.
It just all goes in there.
Yeah.
And that will help them to get a drink.
Yeah.
Too. As far as enrichment, you're going to want to add things that they can climb around on.
Oh, Dad. Like, she's going.
Like cork bark and vegetation, stuff that they can climb on, climb through.
Oh dear, here she goes again.
To keep them entertained. Before we get into lighting, heating, and humidity, Natalie and I would highly recommend you watch Dave Kaufman's video where he travels to Africa and he finds African Fat-Tailed Geckos in the wild. He's that guy that goes around the world and checks out all these places to see
I remember him.
You remember him? It's the Are We Keeping Them Right series.
Yeah.
We would highly recommend that, and we'll put a link in the description below. But what he found in that video was that they were hiding out they were hiding out in burrows at like the base of termite mounds. The temperature in those burrows was like 95 degrees, and the humidity was 90%. So that's in the burrow. But this is very common with captive keeping. And people think that they need no humidity. They think that they're from the desert, so you just need it really hot. But that's not true. They will try to escape that heat by going into burrows that are high humidity. And that's where they go to like escape the heat. So converting this into captive keeping, they're going to need a warm end of between 90 and 95 degrees, a cool end between 75 and 80 degrees, and the humidity level should be between 65 and 85. And if it spikes to like 90% every now and then, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Now, as far as what you should use as a heating source, being a nocturnal or crepuscular species, they're not a basking species. They're not out there during the day sitting in the heat collecting the sunlight. They're finding like rocks, the ground itself, and collecting residual heat. So in my and Natalie's recommendation to you, we would use a heat mat compared to like a basking bulb, because you have things like bearded dragons that like basking with a heat bulb, but these guys are only out during the night, so they're collecting that residual heat.
But they are not like indivisible or...
Indivisible? Is that word again?
What?
That word you taught me earlier?
Yeah.
Same word. Got it. And they're collecting that belly heat, right?
Yeah, and that helps them get that not eternal.
Digest their food.
Yeah.
Now, what are our two do's or don'ts, I should say, about heat pads?
They collect that heat.
Well, one, they always go on the outside of the enclosure. The outside of the closure, don't put it inside the enclosure. And two, if you use a heat mat, always, always, always get a thermostat with it. They usually come in combos, but those regular ones, they don't set to a certain temperature, so they'll get hot, 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 and could burn your gecko. So definitely get a thermostat.
Yeah.
All right, and finally on to
Diet.
Also, just like leopard geckos, they are insectivores.
Yep.
Entirely insectivores.
Yep, and you know what they eat?
What?
Crickets, baby crickets. You have to find the smallest one you can.
When they're this small, right?
Yeah.
But it's totally insects. No fruits, no vegetables, no pinkies, just insects.
Yep. And they can eat mealworms.
Yes, they can. And like you just said, anything from like crickets, mealworms, and what are those roaches called?
Dubai roaches.
Dubai roaches. We haven't experienced this issue at all with her, but fat-tailed geckos also have a reputation of being picky eaters. So as you should always offer a variety of different insects, if they are just having one insect and they'll eat nothing else, then you gotta use that one. But always at least try to give them a variety. That'd be like you eating peanut butter and jelly for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day.
Yeah.
You probably like that. Babies will eat insects every single day, while adults will eat more like every 3 to 4 times a week. But those babies, they need some extra oomph, right?
You're weird.
I'm weird. They will also need a calcium bowl, and you should dust their insects with calcium powder. Remember how we dust the insects?
Yeah.
But you should also give them a multivitamin, Reptile multivitamin weekly. Gotta keep them healthy. Healthy. And to our final point, just like leopard geckos, they will mainly drink like droplets of water that collect around the enclosure and on the plants, but you should still include a water bowl in it. We see her drinking from the water bowl from time to time, don't we?
Yeah, and guys, and that gives them a choice which one they want to do.
Exactly. Exactly right. Very good. Alright guys, so that does it for our African Fat-Tailed Gecko care video. All a penny. All a penny. If you guys found this interesting or informative, make sure to give us a like. And if you guys want to keep up with any of our pet reptiles, you can follow us on any of our social media pages. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and we post a lot.
Yeah.
We post these guys often.
Yeah.
But we'll put the link to each of our social media accounts down in the description below.
Yep. And guys, comment down below and give us a big thumbs up.
Oh, and one final point. Natalie and I are running out of pictures for some of our coolest prehistoric and extinct reptiles. We thought it would be kind of cool that if we tell you guys what reptile we're doing, to get some like fan art of some of the extinct species of reptiles that we go over.
Yep, and guys.
Our fans can draw the pictures and we'll use the pictures in the video.
Yeah, and guys, do you want me to tell you what you're gonna win if you guess what it is?
What?
Shed. One of our sheds.
Yeah, we can even send you guys some of the sheds.
Yep.
We got that full one from Kai, remember? But yeah, if you guys want to take us up on that, or it doesn't matter what age, how good the pictures are, you guys have seen Daddy's drawings. They ain't very good. So,
Well, you're the way better.
way better?
Yeah.
Aw, thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, if you guys want to send us anything, we'd appreciate it.
Yep.
Alright guys, so we will see you on the next video. Bye guys.
Bye.